Hi! A few days after I released the previous episode for the group buy, there was a post on r/mechanical keyboards and r/mech market regarding a new system designed to rate vendors to help people make an educated decision before joining group buys. The MK Vendor and Trust and Safety System is a rating system created by the Trust and Safety admin team to provide a rating of the vendors within the hobby based on their track record. Of course, it's still very early on in the process, so not all vendors have been onboarded to the rating system, but this is a step towards the right direction to protect people from scams. Time will tell how effective the system is, and I'm sure there will have to be refinements to make it more accurate, but I am excited to see where this goes next. Anyways, without further ado, PBTfans Klein Blue is back for another round. The first set was quite popular and many people missed out on it, so it's cool to see that KBD fans bring it back for another run. Not too much has changed this time around for the most part, though for R2, there won't be a katakana base kit available for purchase. I assume that this decision was probably made due to the lower popularity of the katakana base kit compared to the standard base kit, so most people probably won't be too sad about it not being available for this round. However, if you are a bit of a weeb and want some Japanese sub-legends, you can try searching online for a set of GMK Striker 2, though those keycaps feature hiragana rather than katakana. Anyways, PBTfans Klein Blue is a pretty simple keycap set that offers nice compatibility. It features that semi-transparent look that PBTfans has done for some of the other sets, which look really nice in my opinion. I do think that maybe they could have designed a novelties kit based on the inspiration, which I won't be saying since I'm sure I'll butcher that, but I can also see why they chose not to do so, and I think that's okay too. If you've been looking for some blue keycaps, PBTfans Klein Blue R2 might just be the set for you. Following the release of the ultra-budget Neo 65, Neo is working with QWERTY keys again to release a new keyboard, the Neo 70. The Neo 70 is a keyboard that uses the FRL TKL layout, which has really been growing in popularity this past year. Like the Neo 65, the Neo 70 is quite simplistic in design without much flair, but it is a good looking keyboard at a great price, with prices starting at $80. That price is only achievable with the cheapest configuration with a plateless solder build, so I think for most people, you're probably going to end up with a config around $120. Like all keyboards related to QWERTY keys, the Neo 70 will have a good selection for case color options and weights, and will also feature a tri-mode hot swap PCB if you'd like. There will also be a standard wired hot swap PCB and a solder PCB though, if you're not a fan of wireless connection. Matching the Neo 65, the Neo 70 will also feature two different mounting styles, PCB gasket mount and gummy O-ring mount, so you can choose whichever style that you prefer. I think what makes the Neo 70 stand out is the fact that it features an easy two-step disassembly process, where all you have to do is remove the badge on the bottom of the case and push out the PCB, which is pretty nice, especially if you like to modify your keyboard. It also features magnetic connectors rather than ribbon cables that automatically connect and disconnect when you insert or remove the PCB. These features sound really cool on paper, and I'm really hoping that QWERTY keys and Neo can pull this off, so we can see this on future boards as well. Overall, I think that the Neo 70 is a great board with some new and interesting features. Pricing is affordable for the custom keyboard hobby, so if you've been looking to pick up a 70% keyboard or maybe introduce a keyboard to a friend, the Neo 70 is one you should definitely take a look into. The JRIS80 is Iris Labs' new project, and I think that looks pretty nice. I know that there are people who didn't like the design and have voted in the IC forums, but I guess in the end, the majority still prefer the original design. I think that some of the suggestions definitely could have been considered more, and some minor tweaks would have made the board just look a little bit better, but hey, it is what it is. This keyboard brings over a lot of the same features as its predecessors, such as the quick disassembly and the gasket mounting system. Pricing is really good, with it starting at $165 and going up to $210, depending on your configuration. I think that the biggest challenge that this group buy faces is the fact that over the last 2 years, the TKL market has gone really saturated, not to mention the budget segment with QWERTY keys and Mellotrix being the two largest brands pushing out cheap boards. The JRIS80 does look quite different compared to the QK80 or the Zoom TKL, so I'm sure that it will have its fans. But I think if this was done a year ago, it would have probably seen even more sales, since at this point, a lot of the people who were looking for a budget TKL probably would have bought one already. I am hoping that they still succeed with this group buy, and I think that anyone still looking for a budget TKL should look at the JRIS80. I haven't really heard much about their keyboards in terms of performance and quality, so if you plan on joining, I would do some research and ask around to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. I never really watched much of Code Geass, so I'm not a big fan of the show. However, I do think that this keyboard looks pretty cool. It's a clean design without much flair, though the side profile is pretty sick, and I don't think I've really seen that design before. I think that the biggest challenge that this keyboard faces is probably price. $450 wasn't an insane price in the early days of the hobby, but there are just so many good cheap boards out there which have really skewed people's perceptions on keyboard pricing. I think that the Geass60 is really for people who are really big Code Geass fans. It's definitely not a cheap keyboard, so I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, but if you really like the look, then maybe it's the keyboard for you. The VK87 is an affordable TKL, with prices starting at $88. I don't have much to say about this keyboard because I don't really like the design. Although some of the budget TKLs may not have been as cheap as this keyboard, I think that many of them, such as the QK80, have a better design and more features for the price. If you're someone who's considering this keyboard because of the cost, I would suggest that you look elsewhere and maybe consider the Neo 70 if you don't really use your function row, or don't mind pressing FN. I know that this keyboard has its place, and maybe some people really do like the design, but if you're just looking for a cheap keyboard, I would suggest that you first try looking elsewhere.